This is Susan with Pack Leader Dog Training here with Rachel Kohler Dog Training, and we're here for another one of our Q&As. So if you haven't joined us before, we just ask questions to each other based on ones that we've either gotten or most commonly asked questions, and then we just go back and forth answering them.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun, and I always look forward to doing these, and it's always a lot of fun.
So let's get started.
All right, I'll start us out. Our first question is, how long have y'all been training dogs?
Ooh, okay. So I've been training dogs for about 7 years. Started as a vet tech, and I got a Belgian Malinois puppy because I had no idea what I was doing. I wanted a German Shepherd, and she's supposed to be a mix of the German Shepherd, so yeah. So I was a vet tech, and then I just got a knack for the dogs that had aggression, like dogs that would come in that normally have to be muzzled, or they can't even be looked at, or they bite everybody. They'd have me go in the room because I just always had a way with being able to hold them and not have them bite us or like react to us. So from there I was like, I could actually do this for a living, and I love doing it. So then I started working with dogs outside the vet clinic, and then I moved to my own business. What about you?
So I have been officially training dogs for about 3.5-ish years. Before that, always growing up, the people in the neighborhood would call me the dog whisperer. I was always training somebody's dog how to do something, catching runaway dogs. I don't know. I was just anything with the dog. I was the one they called. And then it wasn't until about 3.5 to 4 years ago where I realized that wait, people train other people's dogs for a living? I didn't know that was a thing before.
Right.
So I was like, let me jump on that boat because training is fascinating. And to this day, I still find training fascinating. I love having our trainer talks and learning new things about it. So yeah, I've just gone from there. It became something I'm really passionate about.
If somebody was looking to start dog training, if they'd never done it before, what would you recommend? How would you suggest they get started?
So for me, I think I was very fortunate. I actually did get to start in a kennel. So I was working, they had daycare and a bunch of stuff there. I got to start there, and I know I was very fortunate for that. And I got trained the very basic foundation there. And then with me, I just took that and ran. So I took that and started reading books and listening to podcasts and watching YouTube videos. So I'd say, depending on your situation, if you don't have that opportunity to work for somebody, if you don't have that opportunity to work with somebody, I would just dive into research, go online. There's so much content out there. A lot of it's gonna be very opposites, but you just gotta kind of look at it and find what feels right to you.
I love that.
There's just so much different things out there, and that's why you and I say that there's always more to learn. So I would start with just diving in on your research, find out how you feel about different things, and then if you have a dog, start doing some stuff with them, see what works. If your friends have a dog, if your neighbors have a dog, just try to get out there and get your hands on some dogs and see what happens. I don't know, do you have?
Oh, I love that. Even like you said, something that feels right to you. That's what I loved you saying. So there are a lot of different theories on dog training and different points of view, and so there are certain things that I don't agree with that I see people doing, which is cool because if that works for you, that's great. It just doesn't ring true to me. But that being said, there might be something that that person can teach you that does ring true. So you don't believe in their whole philosophy, but they do have different techniques for working with different dog personalities that you might like. So don't discount something just because as a whole it doesn't look like it's for you. There could be a little tidbit or something they do with the dog that you're like, wow, I could actually take that. So you can take little pieces of different training methods and make your own with it, which is why I love it so much.
I love that you said that, because honestly, like, that's what you have to do, because there are endless ways to train a dog. Like, honestly, like, I'm pretty sure it's just endless ways to train a dog, and you have to do exactly that, and that's how to become a really good dog trainer. Is you don't have to follow exactly what somebody says to a T, or you don't have to hate somebody because one thing that they do is against what you believe. Pick and choose, and do what feels right.
Mm-hmm.
That was awesome. I'm so glad you said that,
Yeah.
because that's my philosophy. That's what I'm doing right now.
Don't get us started talking about dog training. We'll talk like all day.
No,
All
I love it. Honestly, it's when they say do something you love. I think we really
day.
kick that one
Yeah.
out of the park.
Yeah.
Seriously,
Okay, let's get to an actual question now.
yeah, let's go. All right,
That was
it's your turn.
question number one.
Huh?
That was question number one.
Right.
Okay.
All right,
Okay.
here we go.
So, because then I went off on a tangent and I asked you my own question.
Yeah,
But that's I don't know. Okay.
that's okay. There's a little bonus for y'all.
So question two. Is it true that huskies can't be off leash trained?
No. No. Um, like any dog, you'll have to put in the work. You're not going to just get a dog and go to a park and call its name and hope it comes back to you. But no, each breed has their personality, but huskies are very trainable, just like pitties, just like labs, just like mouse. Like, a dog's a dog's a dog. You got to train them. You got to put in the work. And yes, they can be very off leash trained.
Isn't it silly? Like, if you adopt from a husky rescue, sometimes like you'll have to write in or like sign off that they're never going to be off leash, or if they are, they're in a fenced in area. Like,
Wow.
because that's how it was when I got my greyhound. Like,
Wow.
off leash, or if they are, they're in a fenced in area. And it's just like, well, what if I want to train my dog though?
What if I want to actually put in a little bit of work?
Yeah.
Wow, that's insane.
Mhm. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a thing with huskies is like people say that they can't be off leash, and it just makes me kind of like sigh.
Yeah.
So much misinformation out there that like people are then limited by that. So
Mhm.
they think that their husky can never be off leash. Yeah,
Yeah, they can be.
definitely
Just
can
like
be.
any other dog. I don't change my training approach based on the breed. Susan, I don't know if, like, I will, like, based on the dog's personality, might go softer or harder with him, but I'm not going to change my training techniques or anything because of the breed.
Like foundation of training.
Mhm.
How do you approach it, and what is their motivator? So the dog's motivator could change, but everything's
Exactly.
the same. Mhm.
Exactly. Question number 3, I think. I want to teach my new dog to do a lot of different obedience commands, but I also want to do trick training. In what order should I teach the commands? And should I do the trick training before or after obedience training?
Okay, so
A
we'll
lot going
see
on in that question.
how our thought processes are. I would do the obedience first because having a dog that can roll over is really freaking cool. But I'd rather have a really good recall. So for safety purposes, and I'd rather have a good place first because that's the foundation and that's what's going to get you a well-behaved dog. The trick training is just awesome, like engagement for them afterwards. So I would do that after. So I would do the obedience commands and then do the trick training after. What
And
about
then
you?
I was gonna say to the first part of the question, let's see what they said. I want to train my dog a lot of different obedience commands. What order should I teach those commands? So as far as like sit down, place, recall, do you have an order for those?
Trying to think. Oh, okay. So I'm thinking back to the puppy, and it's a good example because puppies are like so green. Yeah, so fresh. So I start to sit, then I go to down, then I do place, then recall, then out. Recall can sometimes be thrown in there. Like, I'll just throw it in sometimes. Like, it doesn't have to be in a specific order. But the reason like for the puppy, I did sit because sit is just the easiest one to get a dog to do. Like, it's just, you can lure them into it really easy. And then from the sit position, then you lure them with the food down. So you get like a good down, right? Like that.
Mm-hmm.
And then, because now they know how to down, now you can do place. Like, I find place is easier because they're in a down on place.
Mm-hmm.
So then I do place, recall. But like I said, like recall is just like something easy to put in there if you wanted. But yeah, that's my series of how I do. And what about you?
So that's awesome that you said that, because honestly, that's kind of the order that I do them in just naturally. But like when I was first looking at this question, thinking about it, I thought that, you can train them in any order. And that was going to kind of just be my response, because it's like, while it might be harder to do a place if your dog doesn't know down, you could still kind of like, you could still make it happen, because we don't say the word down. So my thought process originally was like, it doesn't matter the order you train the commands in. But when I'm working with a client, I do them in that order. And then as far as the obedience or the trick training, pretty similar to how you feel. Like if you have to pick one to focus on and do one first, I'd pick obedience first. Susan, correct me if you feel differently. But I don't see why you couldn't do them at the same time. Like I would not do them like at the same session. But like say you work on your dog on obedience in the morning, and then later in the afternoon you do some trick training, or you have one session obedience and then trick training and then obedience. But I think they can be done at the same time. But if you have to pick one, obedience first.
Yeah, makes sense. But like you said, not in the same session. Just do it.
Mm-hmm.
You do multiple sessions throughout the day, like
Mm-hmm.
at least 4 easily.
Right.
So alternate them, like you said, if you wanted. Mm-hmm. Sounds good.
Right.
So, is it okay that my puppy play bites?
Okay. No, I wouldn't let your puppy play bite. I would be very black and white from the beginning. Your mouth shouldn't go on me, because that could cause damage. Correct it, because what's going to happen is, yes, they're play biting, and as they get older, they're going to continue to play bite, and it's going to be less playful because it's going to start to hurt. So they're going to be playing. You're not going to be having as much fun. So no, I wouldn't allow your puppy who's learning to play bite.
Right. Yeah, I wanted to say it's normal that your puppy play bites, but it's not okay. I would still correct, like Rachel said. So yeah, it's not uncommon, and I wouldn't think, oh God, my dog is or my puppy's aggressive or gonna be aggressive. It's they mouth on things.
Right.
They're just not allowed to mouth on people. So.
And if they
correct.
never, I was gonna say, if they never learn that they can't play bite, they're not gonna turn 1 year old and be whatever. They're not gonna get bigger and think, hey, I'm too big now, so I should probably stop play biting because I'm not a puppy anymore. If you never correct them for that when they're a puppy, they're never gonna think it's not okay. So next thing you know, you're gonna have an adult dog running up to you trying to play bite.
Yeah, every time I hear somebody say, "Oh, they'll just grow out of it," I cringe a little. I'm like, no. No, I'm not gonna grow out of my anxiety. That dog's not gonna grow out of puppy biting. It's just how you have to work on it.
Got to do the work, right? Crazy. Yeah, no, definitely correct that. I love this dog. This is Gaia. I didn't introduce her in the video, I don't think yet. She's finally hanging out with me on the couch, and she's cool. Huh?
Only if invited does she come up.
I invited her up here before we started the Q&A. Usually, we'll put her in a place, and then she's just hanging out there, and we do our Q&A, and I don't think about her, other than I listen to her snore, and you can probably hear her snoring in most all of our Q&As. But tonight, I figured she's snoring a little bit. I'm surprised you can't hear her yet. It's getting louder as we go on. But yeah, I was like, we need to feature her. She's really cute. She's available for adoption, so hit me up.
Yeah. All right. How do I stop my dog from getting in the trash?
Right. So I just have like a bunch of thoughts come to my head when you said that, because this is a really common question. The first thing that honestly comes to mind is, why was your dog able to get into the trash? So to like take it back, way back before the actual problem of the dog getting into the trash happens, I'd probably just give them less free range of the house. If they're making these bad decisions, they should probably be in a crate or in an obedience command. That being said, I know we're all human. So if you happen to catch your dog in the act of eating the trash, I would mark that with no, or whatever your marker is. And then I would correct them however you see fit, whether that be an e-collar correction, a prong collar pop, a bonk, I don't know. That's really dangerous because you never know what's in the trash. So not only is it rude and annoying, your dog could get really sick from eating the trash. So I'd mark it and I would correct it hard, because honestly, you never want your dog to eat the trash. So set the tone, right? I want to set the tone one time and make it very clear to you, eating the trash is a bad idea. And that's what I would do. Susan, what do you think?
No, that's perfect. Yeah. Like, where are you? Why is your dog able to get into the trash? If it's making that bad decision, what other bad decisions is it doing? So it probably needs more structure in its life, which would be the commands, like Rachel said. And then if it does it right in front of you, then, either punish it, right, like when you see it, if you have the e-collar, right as the dog's doing it, you can punish it or mark it with no and then follow through with the punisher. But you want your punisher to be effective, right? So your punisher is effective if the dog stops doing the behavior. So if you punish this one time with whatever you decide to punish with, it doesn't do it again, then your punisher was effective. But if you punish and the dog does the behavior again, then you need to up your punisher or change something that's more effective for that dog.
Exactly.
All right.
Nice.
Your turn.
All right, let's see. Are purebred dogs easier to train than a rescue or like a mutt?
I'm going to say no. Finally, I get a question from you where it's just like, no.
I know you've asked me some before and I've just been like, no. Like, what else can I say?
No. Certainly some particular dogs, because of their personality, can definitely be easier. Usually the dogs that want to please, like the dogs that are food motivated and not nervousy dogs, like if they're happy-go-lucky, of course they're going to be easier to train. But any dog can be trained as long as it's still breathing. You still work with it and train it. That's the beauty of dog training. Honestly, I was working with, I think it might have been my new clients that I signed just this past weekend, and she asked me, do you feel like he can be trained? Like, do you think he's too far gone? Or I forget how she worded it, but I was like, oh yeah. He can be trained. And I get that question more often than not. Like, people always ask me, like, do you think he's trainable after I work with them? I'm like, yes. Like, it's just such an obvious answer to me. Like, I didn't realize how much people have it in their heads, like the different myths that are out there and that they believe them. So
as long as they're like mentally there, like I've met like a dog that had like, I think maybe dementia or something. She just walked in circles. She let her be. Every dog can be trained. No dog is going to be easier or harder because it's a purebred or because it's a mutt or because it's 5 years old or because it's 5 months old. You're going to approach them differently, like for the age, but breed, purebred, mutt, whatever. But yes, Gaia is some sort of petty cuteness. I wasn't the one who actually like trained her. When I got her, she was fully trained. But I've been doing like tricks and agility and things like that with her. It's fine. It's great. My parents' dog, purebred blue tick hound. A little more difficult to train because of his personality, and because of the environment like he lives in. So yeah, it doesn't matter. Purebred, mutt, rescue. paid $15,000 for him. Doesn't matter. A dog's a dog's a dog. That's my new saying. Dog's a dog's a dog.
Whatever.
Yes, I also say that a lot. Thank you, Susan.
Okay. So
Your turn.
my dog doesn't let me touch his head. Do you think it's ear issues?
Well, I'm gonna start off with my full disclosure. You're a good girl. Look how cute she is. Okay. I'm not a vet. And I think even if I was a vet, like without seeing it, I don't know. Couldn't be ear issues. Could be just the your dog's from your dog's point of view. This is what they see, reaching towards their head. That could be scary. So it might be like you need to like counter condition your dog to reaching towards their head. Guys, chill with it. I don't know. It could be, but I'm not going to say that it is. And is this a new thing? Did this just start? Did last week, were you petting your dog on the head just fine, no issues? And then all of a sudden, like, they're being really weird about it? I don't know, Susan, what do you think? I feel like I was ranting again.
Oh, you're great. When in doubt, take them to the vet, right? What's it going to hurt? So you get your ears checked out. They'll do an ear cytology, be able to tell you if there's an ear infection. If it's all clear, then do exactly what Rachel said and just counter condition it. So what you would do is you could use marker words or a clicker.
And then just so awesome. Sorry.
No, they are.
They're new to me. I love them.
Yeah, like they have their place. Like, so, okay, nope, not doing that rant. So anyway,
okay.
So if you want to dog for petting their head, then you would just like click and reward, but so pay attention to when the dog gets uncomfortable, So you just watch how far away your hand has to be from the dog, right? And if she starts acting weird, then you take your hand back a little and then you'd click and reward. So you click and reward and then move closer to the dog's head. I mean, there's a little bit more of an art to that and it takes a little bit more explaining, but like you would counter condition that.
Mm-hmm.
So that's perfect.
Yeah, you're right. Definitely, yeah. Check out the vet because better safe than sorry. But I would be more alarmed if it's never been an issue before and then suddenly I can't touch her head. If it's like a brand new like rescue dog and has never wanted you to touch them before, look, do counter conditioning. But yeah, better safe than sorry. Take them to the vet. We don't want any sick puppies. All right. Last question that I have. How can I teach my dog to play fetch?
Oh, that's a good question. I'm gonna answer it how I've heard other people answer it. I train obedience commands, and I'm really good at stopping unwanted behaviors. But that's called forced fetch, and I do not know how to train fetch, honestly. So, hey, keep that in mind. If you don't know something, it's okay to say you don't know. Someone say, I don't know how to train that one. What about you?
Well, Susan, thank you for stealing my answer. Thanks. That was great. So yeah, I'm not sure how I would teach a forced fetch for a dog who's got no interest in it. I was kind of hoping you would have something to say, but not, so that's cool. Not my specialty, not your specialty. Definitely something we should talk about later. I think that would make a really fun trainers talk video.
Yeah.
Bounce some ideas off of each other, see what we can come up with.
Yeah.
But for the Q&A, I don't have any solid advice that I can give for that.
Right. Okay. So last question. My 2-year-old pit bull has separation anxiety. Would getting another dog help soothe her?
No. No. So, man, I thought this was gonna be like a really deep question about separation anxiety, which I'll go into that. Don't worry, I'm not gonna be rude. But no, getting another dog is not gonna fix your first dog's issue. In fact, there's this really cool trainer I know. Her name is Susan with Pack Leader Dog Training. She made a super awesome post about it. I shared it on my page. I think it's titled "Getting a New Dog Won't Fix Your First Dog's Problems" or something. Super cool trainer. You should check her out. Cool. What it might do is give your second dog separation anxiety. They might like give the other dog the bad behaviors. No, that wouldn't fix it. You'd have to put in a lot of work. I'm not gonna lie. Separation anxiety is kind of a lot to deal with, right?
Yeah.
Like I've heard some people say, "Oh, it's so easy." I don't know what dogs they've dealt with and what owners they've dealt with, but it's a lot. And as the owner, you have to be really committed to it.
Mm-hmm.
You have to set strict boundaries and give your dog so much structure because that's what they need. Dog with separation anxiety, they're craving that structure from you and the boundaries from you to make them feel less anxious. So it's a beast. Do a lot of research um, and give your dog as much structure and boundaries as possible. But for the question, no, adding a dog to your family will not fix the first dog's problems.
Mm-hmm. That's a common misconception. I think a lot of people will just like get a friend, like we talked about
To keep
earlier.
them busy.
Yeah, get a dog so that they're not, you know, so anxious. But I personally know a client. I just had a one-on-one session with them. That's exactly what they did, and then their second dog did develop separation anxiety as well.
Wow.
So just because, yeah, it's separation anxiety, so you think, well, maybe if they have something else, then they won't be so anxious, but that's not the case, So in this dog's case that I'm talking about, it's not a dog that made the difference, it would have been a person. Like,
Right.
so don't just think adding another like creature
Mm-hmm.
will help it. Like Rachel said, you really have to tackle that problem. Like,
Honestly, I wouldn't even not even just to get another dog to fix it. I personally wouldn't bring in another dog until this dog was taken care of. And again, to each their own. I'm not going to tell you what to do, but I would personally want to have the first one under control and in a good mindset before adding to that.
right,
And I could be wrong about this, Susan, but I also want to be careful that your first dog doesn't become so attached to the second dog that they can't function without that because I think I talked about this before, but like you see bonded pairs on rescue sites. While that might seem really cute, but that just means those are two dogs who will have separation anxiety when away from each other.
right.
So just be careful.
Yeah, even at the vet hospital, oh, people would have to bring both of their dogs in because they're never away from each other. Like, we can't leave the house with one and not the other. And I'm just like,
What
I
is
can't
gonna
imagine
happen?
living like that.
Mm-mm.
Mm.
Yeah, because I was talking about this on my puppy rant, on my getting two puppies rant, in a previous Q&A, because we don't want to think about worst case scenario. But what if something happens to one of your dogs and they're attached to each other like that? So set your dog up for success by giving them time to themselves and by training them and giving them structure. But that's another rant of a whole thing that doesn't have to do with the question that was asked. But structure and boundaries really is the solution to a lot of things.
A lot.
All of it. Structure and boundaries. Yeah.
Well, it was a good
So
Q&A. It was good. Not too many rants.
I'm really working on it.
Yes, it's showing. Good
Yeah.
job.
Thanks. Yeah, it's great. I love doing these. I love helping people, answering questions. Susan and I, of course, enjoy talking to each other, and it's just a lot of fun. Join us next week for our next Q&A. Be sure to drop your questions anywhere you want. DM us, put them in the comments on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube with Pack Leader Dog Training and Rachel Kohler Dog Training. Any question. No questions off limits. Keep it dog training, preferably. But ask us.
They could ask us, like, how long have we been dog training? Like, your one
Yeah,
question.
it's related. I counted it.
Yeah.
But yeah, ask us your stuff. We want to help. If you got that one question that you've been thinking about asking us, but you're like, no, I'm not. No, ask us. We want it. We want to talk about your question and help you out.
Right.
So
All
thanks
right.
for
Well, thank
watching.
you. Yeah. Night.
See ya.